Hello, hello, Greenskins. This is Orc War Chief Reviews, and I'm with Shaningan, and we're doing Predator 2. And you know what? When movies are this good, it's really easy to make a review.
Oh yeah, yeah. Especially when they're this old and everybody knows what they're about.
Oh, yeah, there's just that, but there's also the making the review. You can really, really have fun with making a review. It's really easy.
Oh
Like a
god,
TV series
my
takes
dog is
weeks.
barking. Oh god, I have to apologize to the audience if you
No,
can
no,
hear
go
it.
for it. Can you hear it? I didn't hear it.
Well, that's good. It's distracting me, but anyway, let's carry on.
Let's carry on. We don't care. We'll move on. The whole point of this is cold reviews, guys. You're getting honest opinions. You're not getting any bullshit, any guff, no scripts. We watch the movies and then we freaking review them. Same with the TV shows.
Yep.
Reason we do podcast version style. And so, what can we say about Predator 2? It's that's this is going to be a controversial one on my end. We might even have a disagreement here or two. So let's first break her down. Let's start with the music. Well,
It's
actually,
recycled from the first
it's
movie.
recycled damn near almost completely.
Yeah. So, and I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. It's that's a good. Well, it's not good, but it's not bad. It's whatever. Okay. The music was awesome. Why fix what isn't broken?
There's a couple added little stings and things, but it's pretty much really just pretty much done.
Yeah,
The action scene,
it is slightly
but
retooled. It is slightly modified the
yeah,
music, but it is for the most part the same familiar beats.
yeah, yeah. There's a couple points, there's a couple things. It's almost like they built on it and made it better. Like that. That's my feeling towards a lot of this movie is they made it better. The action scenes. What do you think?
I think they were good. And I think action scenes in general from that era were good because what I hate it's really hard to please me today with action, especially since it's now trendy to shake the camera like the camera's got a seizure or something. Like, oh, I hate the Michael Bay effect. I hate Zack Snyder as a director. Slow motion, shaky cam, things falling all over the place. These
Yeah,
movies don't have that shit.
yeah. I hated that, and there's some really cool scenes in here, and there's some really. That's the one. That's the only problem I have with Predator One to Predator Two, is that the scenes in Predator Two are so awesome, so over the top. We can't. I don't want to get into it too much. That they just made it better. It just feels an improvement.
And well, it
Um,
has to be different. It all comes down to preference because
mhm.
one's in the jungle, the other's in the city. You have to film the action differently
Yeah,
between
but
both
there's over the
locations.
top scenes in there. I don't think the things you see in Predator 2 are so over the top. It's just kind of it's almost fun. So we're gonna get to the acting. Well, Danny Glover. I can't think of a single movie Danny Glover's in that I have seen where he hasn't been amazing.
I can think of movies where he's been underutilized, or there are movies where I'm like, well, one movie comes to mind as to why he's even in it when he doesn't do much, and that's Saw.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I don't. Yeah, Saw, I guess, but I can't remember. I can't think of any movie where he hasn't been really like when he's utilized. He's amazing. He's such a good actor. Like I hate saying, you know what, as much as I hate saying the phrase black actor. It drives me nuts to say that use those type of idioms because I don't give a crap. It's just actor in my mind. And like a lot of these guys are amazing actors and Danny Glover is an amazing actor. And if you let him loose, like it feels like they let him off his freaking chain in this one. They let him just go. And he is fun as hell to watch.
I
Like he
agree.
moves, the way his body language is, you can tell when he's angry, you can tell when he's saying, oh yeah, he gets huffy, he gets moving, he gets really aggressive.
Yeah,
And
even
it's
though
perfect.
it's the same voice, it's the same tone and inflections, but he does feel like a very different person as than what
Yeah.
we see in Lethal Weapon. Even though I do describe this as kind of Lethal Weapon meets Predator.
Yeah, I've heard that too, but I think he does have a different tone. Like this isn't like he seems tired in Lethal Weapon, at least the very first Lethal Weapon. And this one, he seems very energetic. He seems very active. He seems like someone that's just trying to do his job and trying to get everything done.
Yeah,
I think he's amazing in this.
yeah. Where in Lethal Weapon, he's playing the old, experienced cop working with a new, younger guy.
Yeah.
But this one, he's the old guy. Well, he's still an old guy. Like he's in his 50s at this point, I believe. I don't know, but he's always trying. But he's a cop that plays by his own rules. It's got that cliche.
Oh
Used
yeah, he's
effectively.
great. And oh yeah, you know what? I gotta say it. When he's playing a cop doing his own thing, I think he's always fun to watch. I know he's been typecast as that, but I love him in when he's in his movies. He's just really good. The other couple actors that are really good in here, there's quite a few. Like the whole cast, you got Bill Paxton in here that's really good. He's fun. He is fun as hell. Like Bill Paxton can be is just an amazing actor sometimes, and when used right, he's very fun to watch.
Rest in peace, Bill Paxton.
Yeah, there's a lot here. It's just overall just amazing acting. I think they did a really good job. And well, like it's kind of hard not to not I'll throw a little spoiler, but it's kind of hard not to play some of the people that it's hard not to play something and when you're playing what you're playing, like some of the guys here are kind of that. Now let's break down the story.
Well, like with the first movie, it's very simple, but there are more layers to this. I mean, you've got
Mhm.
you. I mean, in the background, you've got the heat wave going on, which is supposed to be what predators are attracted to: heat, hot
Yeah,
areas.
don't spoil too much, yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah.
yeah. It doesn't. It's this fact that doesn't play. That doesn't. That's not much of a factor in the whole lore. It's something that's just there, but they don't explore it. So it's
Yeah.
just there.
There's a lot. There's a lot to it. There's a lot to this, and it was really just everything about this just seemed so gritty and so. It just seemed like where the other Predator. These felt like comic books. Actually, these felt like comic books coming to life to me. Predator 1 and 2 did feel that way.
Well, I'll get that in just a second. But regarding the story, it's basically like the first movie. The predator just sees someone it sees as a trophy and just wants to hunt said trophy. In this case, the main
Mm-hmm.
character.
Mm-hmm.
So that's basically the plot. And like with the first movie, it's not about how deep or thought provoking it is. It's about the dread and the tension, and
Yeah,
how the characters deal in this very unusual situation.
and I would say that's what makes the story that good is that the dread and the tension in this are a lot more better than the other. I don't know. This movie, I felt more for it than I did the other Predator movie when it came to the story. And I think that's what edges this above everything. So, what would you give this movie?
Ooh, well, I gave the last one a 9. This is definitely in the you know I definitely give it in the 8s. Some 8.5. Some not below an 8. That's for sure. I think this is a criminally underrated movie.
I kind of agree there, and I'm going to give this movie as an action movie because I'll give it as an action movie. I think this movie is a 9 as an action movie, but as a Predator movie, 10. Damn near 9.9 to almost 10. This is almost the perfect Predator movie.
Yeah, speaking of
And
near perfect, I think the reason why a lot of people didn't like it initially, and I was among them, but I was a little kid when I first saw it. I was maybe 8 or something. I don't know. I'd already seen the first Predator. The star factor that Schwarzenegger brought just wasn't there, so I didn't enjoy it
yeah,
solely for that reason. But
yeah, I heard he turned it down. Apparently, he actually was supposed to show up for it, but he apparently turned it down because of I think he was filming something at the time, or he was doing
Terminator
something
Two.
at the time. Yeah, okay, yeah. There was that. Yeah, he was doing something, and he's turned down every other Predator movie. Um, After that, wisely. I sort of wish he'd turned down the Terminator movies, but my feeling towards this movie is where the original Predator laid the groundwork. I think Predator 2 built the foundation and built a good house.
I think
We
they're
won't talk
both
about
almost equally entertaining. It depends on the mood. Like sometimes I just want to watch Predator 2, and because I enjoy it for
Mhm.
it's its own flavor.
It is. Well, I kind of make the joke. Predator is the better action movie. Predator 2 is the better Predator movie. And I know that's controversial to say, but I do feel that Predator 2 is the quintessential action movie. I said Predator 2 is the quintessential Predator movie. What the hell am I thinking? Predator 1 is the greater action movie, but Predator 2 is just perfect. Everything about it. And so I guess we're going to get into spoilers now.
Uh,
So,
yeah, I think so. I don't think I have anything more to add.
yeah.
I will just say this, adding more to my history with this movie. Like I said, I was very young when I saw it the first time, and obviously you're a
Okay.
kid, you want the star power. It's Schwarzenegger wasn't there, so I couldn't enjoy it at all. I thought it was boring. But I think I was around maybe 12, 13. I gave it another chance. Like I went to a video store and I rented it on VHS. Yes, VHS. And the second time around, I was like, this is actually not so bad. And
Mm-hmm.
the more I watched it, the better it actually got. It's actually one of those movies that gets better the more you watch it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd sort of agree. It does get better. It does get better. It's kind of funny. It's kind of that's kind of how it works. Like I hear a lot of people say this movie's dated. I would be like, well, no, it's kind of relevant sometimes for certain things. And I think, like I would say, well, all movies from the 80s and 90s have that level. They do have that sheen. But I would take a Cobra over some of the newer action movies that came out. We do occasionally get some gold, but I found that movies were just the movies they were running out with were so good back then. It was just amazing. And this movie was just better. And the reason I say it's the better Predator movie is because where the other movie I think is purely an action movie and you feel like you're an action movie, this one is a action thriller because Danny Glover, I don't even know the character's name. That's kind of sad. Danny Glover's character,
Mike Harrigan.
Mike. Okay, is it Harrigan? Okay, yeah, Mike. Danny Glover's character is being hunted, and it's clear the predator wants his prey. It's clear the predator's playing with his character, and that's what makes it phenomenal. That's what makes it great.
Yeah, that factor was present in the original, but I think here it was more. They emphasized it more and made it more obvious that that's how it
Oh,
operates.
there's just more action. There's more action scenes that are just brilliant. Like watching him drive that car and shoot that's awesome. The train scene is amazing where everyone pulls out a gun. Just it's just over the top on so many levels. Like I had never seen a gun, you know, when I was I didn't see a gun for years until I watched action movies, and just to see all those guns pop out like that when I was a kid, I was like, what the hell? Like I always thought of them as lasers. That's actually how, because I was back in the day when I saw this movie in the '90s. I think I was around 10,
I thought I was the
and
only one that thought these guns looked futuristic, but then I realized those were just additional accessories that he put.
yeah, that they all put on their guns. Like every one of them has a laser scope. Every one of their guns have these multiple things. But in the back of my mind, I'm thinking to myself, wow, that's kind of unique. And I didn't really realize, like I said, at the back, like I said, I never knew what a gun was as a, like around 10, I hadn't seen much of actual firearms. I had seen things, but I really didn't understand it because I was more cartoons and stuff. And, they use laser guns in cartoons. I was used to the Star Wars phasers and shit like that and the Star Trek shit or Star Trek blasters.
Oh, the
Or
Trekkies are gonna hunt you down now,
oh,
and
I apologize.
and the Star Wars
Star
fans.
Trek phasers, Star Wars phasers, Star Trek blast. Oh God,
Oh, what I got
Star
in the Big
Trek
Bang Theory.
phasers.
Hey, it's not like you're
Yeah.
building a Death Star from Star Trek.
Yeah, I know. It's funny because I'm actually a huge Star Trek fan, and I make this mistake all the time, and I've had people give me looks.
Yeah, it's just a twisting of tongues here since the
Yeah, it's a Freudian slip. They're all lasers. That's let's just call them lasers. I'm used to the GI Joe red. The bad guy shot red, the good guy shot blue.
I'm used to good guys shoot orange and bad guys shoot purple, i.e., Autobots and Decepticons.
Yeah, I'm used to the blue red. That's I remember GI Joe from the blue red. That's all I remember, and it just in my mind that's what I remember more. So when I saw this, like with all the guns and stuff, I was like, wow, that's Jesus hell. And it's funny because I saw Predator 1 first and it never registered in my mind that they were using guns. Where Predator 2, that's when I realized what a firearm was. And that scene in the freaking the scene that they shoot in that freaking car, in that subway car,
Oh
that
yeah,
was insane. That was just awesome.
I guess
There's so
that
go
scene
ahead.
could have been done better. I mean, that's one of my few complaints about the movie, or rather, it's more accurate to say that modern movies do that so much that I hate it. So when I go back and watch it and see it do it, it's like, oh no, these modern films have made that look bad.
Like
Like,
I think even Simpsons made that joke where like I didn't they wasn't there I can't remember if it was Simpsons where they actually like everyone pulled out a gun. I
I don't
can't
remember if it is. If
I
it would be past my comfort zone because season 6 is my
okay.
last good season.
It was either the Simpsons or no, it wasn't the Simpsons. Was it Naked Gun? I remember somebody doing a joke where everyone had a freaking gun. Like the grandma had a gun. Everyone pulled out a black firearm of some sort.
There was a Simpsons episode about Homer owning a gun, and that was the topic of the episode. But I don't remember that
Yeah.
episode very well. Not one of my favorites, but
Yeah.
um,
I,
but yeah, in this movie, yeah, the plot, like I said, has there's a lot of layers to it, and a lot of things in the background and the foreground, like to varying degrees of importance, such as that there being a heat wave. It's talked about. There's in the background. There's
mhm,
this gang war between Colombian and Jamaican gangs. There's the Predator
mhm.
going after Harrigan and trying to get his attention by killing his not only his partners, but also the people he had just interacted with. You know, after just meeting them, and he left.
You know what? That's the thing. I think the predator realized that by tracking this guy, he could get more prey. He realized that this guy was the center of the action. And that last scene, as much as everyone like the lightning scene, like that scene in the movie was so cool. There's so many scenes in this movie that are so cool, and it's almost like having a comic book. Like that's what I'm saying. Predator and Predator 2 are comic book movies before comic book movies became a thing.
Well, I'm going to get to that in just a moment, but also to add to the layers is that we can't
Mhm.
forget that the fact that there is a government organization that's coming in to investigate predator activity.
Yeah,
That's also a main theme, and Harrigan's butting heads with him because he's doesn't know what's going on, even though he is the
yeah,
target. So that
yeah.
adds more to the tension and the confusion on his end. And regarding the comic books, from what I remember reading in the extra, I mean seeing in the extras,
Mhm.
or some behind the scenes or some trivia about the movie, there were some Predator comics after the first
Yeah.
movie,
Yep.
and there were some story elements from the comics that were actually adapted into this movie. So technically, this is a comic book movie because it follows some beats from some comic chapters.
Yeah, like I'm saying, it's like when he hands him the gun. That's actually from a comic. I think later or earlier. I can't remember. They did such a good job with this movie. I think this is a hidden gem on some levels, and I think it is the better movie. I think it is the better Predator movie, and that's. But I don't think it's the better action movie because Arnold Schwarzenegger was popping out action movies that were just good. Like Commandos is so much fun. And even though the only thing I got to say that's weird to Commando is that soundtrack. That soundtrack is so weird. Running
Mm,
Man was freaking amazing.
but regarding this being a hidden gem, I'm going through the ratings this movie's got on different movie sites, and on IMDb, it's got 6.3 out of 10. On Rotten
Mhm.
Tomatoes, it's got an audience score of 44% and a tomato meter of 30%. And in Metacritic, it's got
Mhm.
6.8 out of 10. And I feel like this is a very, oh god, this is not a this doesn't truly represent how good this movie is. I feel like these
No,
are
it doesn't. It doesn't, and that's the thing. I think a lot of critics poop on this movie because it's not Arnold. Like I get that vibe. I've always had that vibe with the kids. I feel it's Nintendo mentality. As I call a lot of stuff. There's a lot of different mentalities. I like to jokingly call. I think this is Nintendo mentality where people didn't like the fact that you didn't have Arnold Schwarzenegger in it. You didn't have this. We wanted Arnold back. I heard that all the time when I was a kid.
yeah. It's just
We
that
want oh
so much time has passed between now and this when this movie came out. It's like, why aren't these sites updating the general consensus of the movies, and why aren't people who, because everyone I know who initially said they didn't like it for reasons A, B, and C, say it's actually better now that they gave it another chance.
yeah. If you give this movie a chance, give it an honest chance. Don't turn away from it. It's a better movie. I was actually in the camp of I didn't like if it wasn't for the fact that I rented this because I remember thinking to myself, there's no Arnold when I was a kid. But when I watched it, I was like, wow, this is impressive. Like, this is really good. Like, I remember being shocked by it. It's up there with RoboCop for shocking me. I remember getting RoboCop, and like I got a VHS of it. I got a crap copy of RoboCop, and I remember just being blown away by it. And this is the same thing for me. Where Predator I was playing with my Ninja Turtles, or I think it was He-Man at the time. Predator I was playing with my He-Man toys, and then with Predator 2, those He-Man toys weren't being touched. They were like off to the side as I was sitting there drinking my Dr Pepper.
But man, it's just, I feel like another reason critics didn't like this movie is because it was too violent. I'm just thinking, what the hell did you morons expect when you walked into this movie? It's
I
Predator.
know. I know. It's the same thing with the John Wick. I laugh when I hear people say, yeah, you watch this and then you watch John Wick, and it's like, yeah, watch the last Rambo and tell me how violent this movie is.
Yeah, people complain Rambo. Well, all the movies after Rambo one of the complaints was they're
Mhm.
too violent. It's like, they're action movies. Of course they're going to be violent. It's like, what? I hate PG-13 action movies. If your rating is PG-13, you don't deserve to be called an action movie. Okay,
Yeah,
that's where I
look at
stand.
Predator. Look at Mortal Kombat. As much as Mortal Kombat's campy and fun, like the first Mortal Kombat, you know, it really isn't a Mortal Kombat. Like I've had people like my friend said it best. Mortal Kombat One is the Super Nintendo equivalent of Mortal Kombat. And that's kind of how I feel. We never really got that hardcore Mortal Kombat until quite recently. And it is kind of funny. This movie is so good, and for its shortcomings, it's still a very good movie. Like hell, I can watch it. I have watched it. That there's like I have an action Christmas thing where I watch Predator 1, Predator 2, Batman Returns, and Die Hard is the final thing. That's my action movie pack, and these are always watched. They're so well done.
Yeah, they are. They really are.
Yeah.
I just wish. I just wish modern day action movies had more charismatic actors like Danny Glover and Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone. It's like,
Yeah.
I look at action stars today. It's like, who the hell is this guy? Why does he look like a normal everyday schmo? Like, why can't they
We
have
get
larger than
we get
life
a cat.
guys?
Yeah, we do get our occasional larger in life, but it is slowing down. I think the era of action movies is pretty much done. I think we're in the rise of comic book like superhero movies, which those will peak and then we'll probably go back to something else. But we haven't had a real action star in a while, like something that like other than John. Like I said, the only one I can think of, and I keep going back to, is John Wick because it's the only action movie I can think of that was actually pretty decent.
And this is where my controversy comes in. I am not a fan of John Wick at all.
Hey, that's fine. But yeah, I understand it.
But I think this movie could have started a trend where the action hero of the time could have been the next the guy in for the sequel. It's like, okay, we have Schwarzenegger. Now we have Glover. Now we could have had well, at some point we could have had The Rock against the Predator.
I've been saying this. We don't need to tread. We don't want to tread waters because you have a video on the fractured franchises, and let's be honest. If this movie didn't need another movie. Like I think if they had ended it here and maybe done an Alien versus Predator and that's it, like not the one we got, and they had done that in the 90s instead of waiting as long as they had, I think the fire would have been there, and I think it would have been a great movie. I think if they did it right, you bring back Arnold Schwarzenegger for AVP, and there you go. You got the perfect trilogy, and you leave it alone. Like I think the reason Back to the Future is now so celebrated is because they were smart enough to end the franchise. I remember people back in the day saying to me, Back to the Future 3 was awful. And now they're like, wow, Back to the Future is so good, man. The perfect trilogy. I hear it all the time, the perfect trilogy.
There's one major plot hole in the second movie, but we can talk about that in a different video.
Okay.
But
yeah.
But just to say about Back to the Future Part 3, I'm normally not a fan of Westerns, cowboys, stuff like that. But I still enjoyed Back to the Future Part 3, surprisingly.
We'll have to go through the good, bad, the ugly, but okay. No, it was a good movie, and that's the thing. It was a good end. Like, I think if they would have ended Predator 1 and 2 here, I think it would have been perfect. I think it would have been a perfect sequel. Both movies would have been considered good, and I think it built a good. I think they built a house on a franchise that they could have left, and it would have left in comics would have been perfect.
Well, I'm not of the mindset that they should have ended it, but I am of the mindset of they should have made a prequel. They should have, like, these fan videos are amazing, and we talked about that in my
Wait, we're getting that.
Oh yeah. Like, well, it should have been done sooner. Is what I should be saying. But the thing about that is that why was it handled the way it was? I mean, it is just baffling. What idiot thought, we're gonna take AVP and make it PG-13, and then you get AVP Requiem, and you're like, what the hell is that piece of shit? Then you've got the next movie, which was shit, and you got the one after that,
we're not gonna go into the Shining Guy. We're not gonna talk about that. We're gonna stay positive. I understand where you're coming from, but let's stay positive, good sir. There was two good movies. I know you want to talk about
this movie. It ended on a high note, and it could have kept going. Like it built a foundation for more good stuff. Okay, Predator 1 laid the groundwork. This one took it further. We could have gotten more.
Yeah. I don't think so. I think we should have ended in comic books and maybe a couple of video games. I think it would have been perfect in the comic book franchise. I think that's what a lot of Star Wars fans don't realize is that, I hear people go, "Oh, we want a sequel to the franchise." We got a sequel. We got quite a few sequels to the franchise. You just weren't reading them.
They want them in that's kind of how I feel.
Yeah, I know, but that's the stupid thing about it.
You bit off more than you could chew, and now your precious books from your childhood, your comics, your Star Wars, whatever, XYZ, whatever you've got, are not even canon anymore because you got greedy.
That's what I think. That's kind of how I feel about it. That's kind of how I feel about Star Wars a little bit. I don't want to say too much. I don't want to rip on Star Wars because I feel like Star Wars has been it's beating a dead horse at this point. So I still think this was a great movie, and we're gonna leave it at here because that's the problem with Predator. The second you talk about 2, the horrible sensation of everything else.
Well,
Even talking about one that was hard for us to hold back and not diss about it.
well,
We'll
I
leave
might
it
as
at
well.
here, man.
Well, there is something I want to ask you. Um,
Okay.
you know how you said in the first one is purely an action movie with some horror elements.
Yeah.
Well, this one, would you say now that the horror aspect has been upped in this movie, would you say it's also a horror
Yeah.
movie or is it still just an action movie?
No, I think it's an action thriller. I don't want to call it horror. I don't. There's very rare do I see. I've never seen an action horror done right. I can't think of one.
Okay.
Maybe the closest thing to that is a movie we might be talking about in the future because of how it was done. I guess the best one would be Evil Dead 2 would be considered action horror. That's it. I can't think of that many that have done it right that I can honestly think that I'd actually want to really bring up in my head. There could be movies out there that work perfect, but I still consider them action movies, not horror. I think this is what Predator needed to be was an action thriller, and it hit the mark perfect, in my opinion. 9.9 as a Predator movie. 9 for an action.
Yeah,
Almost perfect.
definitely the 8.5, you know.
Yep. That's all we can really say. Like it's a damn good movie. Uh, we could probably do a lot more if we just did nothing but good movies. We could probably have 50 videos out. But thank you everybody out there. Do you got any final thoughts, Good, good Shawnee Gun?
No, nothing. I've said all I had to say. Great movie, criminally underrated. I
Oh,
think
yeah.
anyone who's seen it and liked it needs to get on those sites and just start typing good reviews and updating the general consensus because we need a stronger indication that this is actually a good movie.
Because this is a great movie, and you know what? I hate when people say it's a cult film. It's like no, it's not. It's a good movie. Sit down and watch it. You'll have a blast every time. All right, so thank you there out there, Greenskins. Thank you everybody else. Like, subscribe, and we'll see you guys later.
Bye.